Morning guys, and welcome to another video. Normally speaking, I'm saying I'm in Vincent, which I am, and I'm on my way too. But today I'm not on my way anywhere. I just thought I'd pop on and do a little short video, more about Vincent and my travels and the change that I'm going to make on my channel. As you all know at the moment, the channel is Fisherman's Tales, and it will continue to be Fisherman's Tales with trips. Tips I say, but I don't think I've ever actually given many tips, which I shall have to do. Remember that one. Interviews, which I'll continue to do. But also, last weekend, unfortunately, I didn't video any of it. But as a lot of you know, I am about to move from Warwickshire, Cotswolds, to Wales. Now I'm going on my own, which means that I've got 2 dogs. I'm taking the dogs with me. I wouldn't be without them, so as much as I joke, you know, I've inherited them and they're mine. And this will slightly curb my little weekends away in Vincent, because the 2 dogs, the older dog Lexi, who you'll see here, actually detests travelling, and Ronnie hasn't really done much travelling because Lexi never liked it. So Ronnie sort of picked up a little bit and she pants and puffs. Well, last weekend I decided that I've got to do something about it. If I want to carry on going camping and doing all the things I do with fishing and everything else, the dogs are going to have to be introduced to the van, sleep over in the van and get used to van life. It's something that once I've moved, I'd like to go away for longer than a weekend or a week, maybe a month or so. Maybe do Scotland, possibly Ireland. I'm not so sure about Ireland with the dogs because the dog passports are so involved, but that's another story. Anyway, so I took them away, and unfortunately, I got nothing on video. It was actually a success. On the way there, one of them was sick. My fault. I fed them before we left, which was a stupid thing to do. But hey-ho. So I went with a friend of mine, Ginny, who took her 2 dogs, who love camping and love the seaside. We went in the sea, we went at the beach. Ronnie went in the river. This is Ronnie in the river. And yeah, it was a good weekend and it was a success. They didn't attempt to get on the bed or jump about at night. They slept, they were quiet, they were really good. In fact, I'd go as far as to say by the end of the weekend, Lexi was actually quite chilled about it all. And no sick on the way home. They travelled home okay. I put them in the back, and I think that was a better idea. They'd got more room to move around in the back. On the way there, I got them harnessed up in the front, so there's not really room on the front seats for both of them. Anyway, that's that. So I thought, well, I'm going to be taking the dogs with me. Sometimes fishing could be difficult, especially if it's hot, because I can't leave the dogs in the hot van. So it's going to be more travels, including fishing. And I'm not going to change the name of the channel, but probably put a lot more in about how you survive in a camper van over not so much a weekend. That's pretty easy. Now, Vincent, I bought him 7 years ago, a plain red T4. I've always wanted a T4, and every single time I thought about getting a van, I could never afford it. So I ended up with Astra vans, Toyota vans, another Astra van, until I realised that they just weren't big enough to do what I wanted to do and have everything sort of all in the van, so I could actually live on a weekend quite safely, fish, come back, sleep, repeat. Anyway, so I couldn't really afford to do anything other than buy a plain T4. So I bought a plain red T4 off of a landscaper, and Vincent was born. Now, most of the build, apart from things like windows, which I couldn't do myself, all the lining I'd done myself, all the carpeting I'd done myself, kitchen work surface I'd done myself. I'll pick the camera up in a minute and show you sort of bits around it. Cupboards, that was a bit of a disaster. I've sort of rejigged the cupboards around a little bit because they were a total mess. So beware, anybody, don't just grab the first person that's a really good price to put you a bed and cupboards in, because that's another story. I mean, the bed, every time I braked, the bed came out flat, it just wasn't safe. The cupboards, they were okay, they've lasted me. So I put my own gas hob in with a sink and plumbed all the water in with a little pump, put my water containers in, and recently until recently I should say, I used a 12-volt fridge, chiller type thing, which I'd actually fitted a leisure battery with a split charge system. So that ran off the leisure battery, and I'd very rarely stop in one place for longer than one night. But on this particular occasion, I went off with Ginny down to Plymouth to fish a little competition down there, and the van stopped in one place. So the chiller was running on the leisure battery without it being charged on the split charge system. I've got a solar panel, which I actually fitted myself again, but the solar panel stopped putting power into. Anyway, it's a long story, and I got home and found the leisure battery was just too low. Done a little bit of a quick fix on it with something I found on YouTube, and managed to revitalise it. So the leisure battery's back up and running. But it occurred to me that very often I might find a nice place where I want to stop for more than a night. In this particular instance, we didn't want to lose a parking space, so I didn't move. And the chiller I've got is also suitable to use on gas. So back home, sorted out, got all the bits, and rigged up the fridge on gas. Tried it out, it's absolutely brilliant. Went away last weekend with it. It worked brilliant. Everything was cold. In fact, the little bar across the top of the fridge actually froze up. You can put a little ice block. I think it's got 6 ice cubes on the top of the bar, and it actually freezes. And that was on low, so I was really, really pleased. So this video really is just to explain to you who Vincent is, all the bits and pieces I've got, the trials and tribulations of actually trying to live in a van for a weekend, a week, a month. And yeah, so that's it. And now I think I'll probably show you a little bit around Vincent, what he's got, what he hasn't got, what I'd like to do, what I've done. So let's go. Here you go. Here's the front. What have I done in the front? Well, I replaced the seats, and as much as I like them, I think in the early days I actually was more bothered about what things looked like than how serviceable they were. Now this double seat here, I'd actually like to replace with a single seat that turns around, so that when you go into the back, as you can see, this seat here, I'd like to remove, put a single seat in, so I can put a revolving seat there to give me more room in the cab. I mean, at the moment I just put this seat flat, which I'll do in a minute, but I can't do it with the camera in my hand. I lined all the ceiling and put lots of little pretty lights in, which are on a remote control. One thing I obviously didn't do, I had windows put in, one this side and one on the sliding door side, and I did spend out on Vanex curtains, only because I'd read quite a bit on the Vanex curtains and realised that everybody said how wonderful they are. They really are. They're blackout curtains. So when you want to pull up and camp stealth and put your lights on, that can be done quite easily. So the Vanex curtains, worth every single penny. Let's open those again so you can see everything. Now, I had some cupboards fitted. They weren't a great success. They were a bit Heath Robinson, but I put up with it. The same guy put a bed in, the rock and roll bed, and it was a disaster, so I had to get it taken out and bought another rock and roll bed, which I'll show you in a moment. My latest improvement then is this little gas fridge. It's brilliant. It simply runs on camping gas, plenty of room in that. There you go, looks like I've got some Lucozade left over, and it really does keep stuff cold, and even on low it's good. Okay, so that's really good. I'm really pleased, because before, when I was sat here, this fridge here was actually stuck out. That was a cupboard door there, and it housed all of the water and the gas. So I changed all that. I moved all the water and the gas into here. I've still got my rod storage. Keep my little LRF rods at the top there. But I've still got my rod storage in the back, so I can still store everything. That's probably one of the best things I've ever done, and I was quite proud of myself because I managed to do it all myself. Get the fridge running on the gas, put all the adapters and stuff in, which I'll show you in a minute, but I have to move the bed to get at the cupboard that it's all stored in. Another little thing I did, sometimes I've got a screen cover that goes all the way around the front window and the side windows, but sometimes when you pull up at night, especially if you're on your own parking up, you don't really want to get out of the van and tell the world that you're all on your own. So I put a little bar across, made myself a little set of curtains. I didn't actually line them, but as you can see, it does the job, and it blacks out from the front of the van. You can't really see anything that's going on in the back of the van. So that was an easy little modification that I did. Now, I fitted, oh, there's some washing up in there, a Dometic hob, gas hob, and a sink, which has got an electric pump. I'll show you actually. I've got a kill switch down here to kill the leisure battery off when I want to. Fitted myself a little gauge so that I can see exactly what's going on with the battery, and there you go, water pumped straight in. Now I'm going to put the camera down a minute. Well, I might be able to do it one-handed, I'll see. If I lift this seat up. Now originally this seat actually had a front panel on it, which looked lovely, and as I say, in the early days I was actually focusing more on what looked nice than was actually usable. And because the panel was fixed on here, I couldn't really store anything here at the front here, because to get at it, everything had to come out the back of the van. So I've taken the panel off. I don't really know what I'm going to do yet with it, but it's pretty handy. So I can now access my cupboard. This is one of the irritating bits about the guy who fitted the cupboards. I don't think he thought about a standard rock and roll bed, just the bed he put in, which was a disaster. I had to get it removed. So the cupboard door's not great, but in here I fitted my water containers on a pump. Much farther down there, I don't know whether you guys can see that, I've got my little gas bottle strapped up. Maybe I ought to add, in the early days I actually re-registered Vincent as a motorhome camper van, whatever it is they call it. So his papers actually do say that he is a camper van. Now I believe it is really difficult to do that, and I'm so glad. Oh, there's my toilet. Everybody needs a toilet, the dog bowls, spare water container, because I found that I had 2 and it was never really quite enough, so I now have 4. Waste bin, really important. Never ever leave any rubbish or any trace, apart from footsteps in the sand. That is acceptable. So I've got a bit of storage now under my bed, which is handy, and when the bed comes out, there's actually, the bed comes out to sort of here, and the dogs actually go underneath the bed to sleep, which is really quite funny because there's plenty of room for them not to, but they decided they quite liked it here. And here you go, nice little sign I put in. Recently I've put an extra shelf in my cupboard because I didn't have enough storage. So everything in there I've got my kettle, important, my kettle, I've got mugs, tea, coffee, all my cutlery and stuff in there, bags for rubbish. And as I say, never leave anything or any evidence of having been there. plates and stuff. I've got fold-up washing up bowls. Ooh, pot noodles. You always should have pot noodles in the man in case you get hungry and can't get anywhere. So I altered the cupboards and gave myself a little bit more storage space. This is something that I bought from Amazon, which is brilliant because sometimes if I, you know, especially in the winter, you get in the van, it's dark, nothing really to do, sit and watch a series on the iPad. And I bought this thing, which is, I've got to say, absolutely brilliant. I can put the iPad on there, watch it when I'm in bed. It actually does come out, and didn't realise how difficult it was doing things with one hand. And you can actually stand it, put the iPad somewhere else. But it's a great bit of kit, and it wasn't really that expensive. I'll put a link in the comments below for that. Right, what else did I do? I lined everything myself. There you go, you can see all the carpet lining. Lined it all myself. I think my lads thought I was mad because I'd never used a jigsaw before. So out came the workbench, out came a jigsaw. I did have old panels for the wooden part of the panels that I just used as a template. The plastics I just carpeted over with a 3-way stretch, 4-way stretch, whatever they call it, carpet. And I was quite proud of myself because I'd done it all. Carpet tiles on the floor. I'm not so sure about the carpet tiles. I do normally put a little rug in here if I've got the dogs in here. But I've yet to decide whether to keep the carpet tiles, which are lovely and warm in the winter, or go for a sticky vinyl, which my friend Ginny's used in her van, and it looks amazing. It looks really nice. But I'm just not sure whether I want to put that in or whether I ought to replace these. There's the little solar panel control unit there, as you can see. All that's controlled from here. An old inverter which actually has been disconnected because inverters aren't that brilliant, or at least that one wasn't. It wasn't powerful enough, and I'd wake up in the night with it beeping, which was a little bit annoying. If I just put this camera down for a minute, there you go. Now, I can actually put that down and use that as a seat, but you can probably all understand now why I'd like a single seat that side that swivels round, which would give more room. Now, table. I made myself a little table. Let's get it out. I think I used an old coffee table top. Bought the legs, which is an adjustable leg, and a little bracket that it goes on here. I'll just show you. Oh, I've got to put this camera down again, I'm afraid. I'll just show you how easy it is to put this little table up. She says. There you go. So, you put the leg up. I'm trying to do this with one hand, which is not easy. And those little brackets fit on the top of there. Underneath there are some clips. Let's move it over a little bit to secure it onto the pole so it doesn't wobble around. And sit here. Nice little table, folds away. So you can get your space back. That was actually quite a good little addition. It's nice to sit there with a table, make your sandwiches or have a brew. Right, now for the back. So, let's get the keys. In the back, when I originally had the cupboards done, I wanted rod storage. Again, it was a bit of a cock-up. Basically, all of my rods fit down in the bottom there, and that actually goes all the way through to the front, so I can get all my rods in there. Put myself little storage boxes in. There's a tarpaulin there we used for the rain last weekend. Now this cupboard here actually did have a side on it. I had to take the side off in order to put another shelf in up there, which I did, because it's easy to get stuff from the back and puts a bit of light in the cupboards. I've actually can't decide whether or not to put that front back on, but plenty of storage under there. I forgot to show you my little clothes department. Again, Vanex windows, Vanex curtains on the back windows, which are worth their weight in gold. Some people say they are a little bit expensive, and I will agree, they are expensive, but I wouldn't want anything else. So there's a little box under there that pulls out that's got some clothes in it, or I put my clothes in when I go away. Basically, I think that's everything. So yeah, a split charge system. There you go, guys. Basically, it's a bracket here that the battery sits on. I don't know whether you can see that down there. It was really tight getting it in. The main battery's still where it was. And you put a little relay and what have you in there. I fitted that some time ago and that's been really successful. It's a functional engine bay, not a show class engine bay. I don't think there's anything else underneath there that I've done. No. Let's show you the outside of the van. Now, when I first bought the van and had all the bits and pieces done, I had 18-inch alloys on it, BBS alloys, which were beautiful, with low profile tyres, and I've got to tell you, it was probably one of the worst things I ever done. You see the solar panel up there? It rattled your teeth out. It was just dire. I have got aftermarket lights on the back. I did actually have them on the front, but it was like trying to drive via candlelight. So I just upgraded the bulbs and put the standard headlights back in, and now we can see in the dark. So standard headlights, just upgraded LED bulbs, which work really, really well. So there you go, guys. He's a bit dirty, so I'm not going to show you too much. Wants a jolly good wash. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Probably lots of bits and pieces I haven't shown you. What did I wish I didn't do? The first thing is the wheels. They look lovely. It was all about looks when I first started and thought, oh, I wanted it to be super cool. Worst thing I ever done. Speed bumps and the lanes that I go down and the terrain that I travel on, sometimes in car parks in Wales, in Cornwall, in Devon. They don't like 18-inch wheels with low profiles. So the best thing probably I ever done was sold them and put standard steel wheels on. The fridge, the gas fridge, it took me a while to realise that I was asking a lot of a leisure battery to run a chiller. And an awful lot of the time with fishing, as I said, I used to move, so I didn't notice it until I was asking a lot of it. The solar panel, I probably could do with a bigger one, but now I've swapped the fridge over to gas. It runs everything. I can charge my phones, my iPad, the camera batteries, the drone, hopefully. That is a funny story. I did buy a drone and the footage is amazing. I've got to learn to fly it because I did take it to Holyhead Breakwater, panicked when it was coming down where it wasn't supposed to, and it ended up in the sea. But there you go. We live and learn. That's really about it. So basically I'm changing the channel a little bit. I'm going to include more travels and trips that may not have so much fishing in it. If there's anything you guys want to know, want to build your own little fishing van or camper van, leave it in the comments below. I'm no expert, I'm still learning. Okay, I've had Vincent for 7 years, but until now he has primarily been a fishing van. I've been away for him in a week. I've been away in him for a week, which was interesting and told me a lot. Space is so important. You've got to organise everything. You've got to put everything in its place. It is so important because once you start chucking stuff about, not putting stuff away, and you go to do something simple like change the water, there's a ton of stuff you've got to move before you can actually do that. Or I should say top up the water, not change it. So I'm on a little bit of a learning curve again now, actually learning how to live in the van with the dogs. That's going to be fun, so watch out for the next video because hopefully it will include me Vincent, Lexi and Ronnie. So that's all for now, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and please subscribe and like the video, not just on Facebook, actually on YouTube, which will be very much appreciated, because I did split my channel some time ago into my business channel and this Fisherman's Tales, so it's really low on subscribes and stuff. I've got a few views, but I really could do with some more subscribers. So until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Bye.